Hi! MeldaProduction produces a wide range of dynamic processors, beginning with classic broadband designs and finishing with highly specialized tools. In this video, I'll give a short introduction to each of them to make your choice easier. I'm going to start with a simple design and then gradually move towards more complicated and specialized models. For the demonstration purpose, I'm going to use a different style for each plugin. You are free to use any style and colors you want. And the first one is M-Compressor. It's a free plugin, and when it was released, it introduced the first unique Melda's feature, found later in almost every dynamic processor, a custom processing shape. It allows to shape the dynamics of a signal in any possible way. Besides that, it's a classic design with all standard parameters found in most compressors, suitable for general tasks. Of course, it has all classic Melda goodies, like resizable interface, upsampling, AH presets, mid-side processing, and much more. Let's move on to the we need to work fast and love vintage compressors end, where M-Turbo Comp is. It's a real beast, covering pretty much all of them. SSL, Neve, 1176, Distressor, you name it. And unlike the originals, where each model needed to be handled specifically, M-Turbo Comp provides a unified interface for all of them, with some advanced goodies such as sidechain, filtering, and parallel compression via dry-wet. But that's not all M-Turbo Comp can offer. When you are ready, you may click the edit button and enter a unique laboratory of dynamic control. All the vintage compressor modes have been designed here, using machine learning actually. Ever thought about designing your own compressor? Well, now you have the chance, and you don't need to know anything about electronics nor programming. As for the rest of us, we are quite happy with the easy screen. Select a preset, move two knobs, done. Now we get to the M-Compressor's bigger brother, M-Dynamics, which is much more feature-packed. Be it a gate, or expander, compressor, or limiter, it can do everything. The easy screen is prepared for super fast workflow. Just choose what you want, a compressor, a gate, a classic vintage glue kind of compressor, or perhaps you want something that works well on typical vocals, drums, and so on. It's like an entire range of plugins all in one place. The edit screen is where the advanced magic happens, and it lets you control a lot. A built-in EQ in a sidechain allows it to react only to a specific frequency range. Think de-esser or bass modulator. The detector, which is what sets good and bad compressors apart, is more customizable than you probably thought was possible. And if the edit screen is not enough, check the advanced settings, where you can literally shape the attack and release stages. And sure, you can draw your own processing shape. M-Dynamics is a very advanced processor, and yet controlling it can be so simple through the easy screen. Modern Compressor shows a modern approach to a dynamic processor. It helps you with setting up its parameters based on an input signals analysis. For example, if you must provide a content with a certain dynamic range, think broadcast, this is the right tool to do it. Or the plugin can guide you at mastering stage, helping you to avoid producing an overcompressed product. It uses the same engine, like in M-Dynamics. The next step up is M-Dynamics MB, multi-band version of the M-Dynamics. Up to 6 bands can be set here. It has a highly customizable crossover, offering the types you won't find anywhere else. Please check the Multiband plugin series. I guarantee it will completely change your thinking about crossovers. Sure, it can be used in a broadband mode too. Very powerful compressor, capable of taking on every task. If 6 bands is still not enough, try Spectral Dynamics. This is a completely different design, taking advantage of frequency domain processing. In plain English, it can control the dynamics of every single frequency separately. That can give it a result that cannot be achieved by any other dynamic processor. Note, it introduces latency, so no use for real-time processing. It may also produce very specific alien sounds if pushed too far, but it can flatten your audio, sort of dynamically and automatically equalize. It can be a de-esser and even a denoiser. It can fix collisions between multiple tracks dynamically and fully automatically. To be honest, even we are not sure what this beast is capable of. New ideas are still coming. And the plugin is actually not that complicated. Now let's talk about limiters. MeldaProduction offers 3 of them. The first one is M-Ultra Maximizer. It's a simple to use multiband limiter. Despite its limited set of parameters, this guy can give you a remarkable sound. Set the slope and start cranking up the gain until you get the loudness you want. M-Limiter MB is a fully featured multiband limiter. It's the M-Ultra Maximizer on steroids, if you like. Here you can control every nuance of its work, add modulators and multi-parameters, apply a saturation to each band independently. If the loudness is all you need, this is a tool for you. But it can work some real magic when processing individual tracks for some more aggressive styles, such as neurofunk and dubstep. Finally, M-Limiter X is a broadband brick wall limiter, usually found on a master bus. Known for its transparent and punchy sound, it's loaded with controllers, so you can get pretty much any flavor you like. The saturation module is also presented for an extra character, very important in a modern music production. So far, we've been talking about tools for everyday use in all possible situations. Now let's get to the specialized ones. And the first one I'd like to talk about is MAuto Volume. This is a gain writing processor made for keeping a signal's volume at the same value. So if a level goes down, the gain gets increased. Similarly, when the level goes up, the plugin decreases its gain. Thus, the volume stays more or less the same. Great on individual sources, especially vocals and bass. M-Transient and its big multiband brother M-Transient MB are so-called transient processors. A transient is like the beginning of each drum hit or a bass note. So in a way, a transient is a time when something happens. And often an instrument may sound buried in the mix or just not punchy enough. Usually that is because it doesn't have a prominent transient. How to fix that? Simple. Plug one of these guys in and increase the attack control. That's pretty much all. Should you use the multiband version? It usually leads to better results. So if you're not super short on cash, then the answer would be yes. Next is the MDrum Leveler. Picture this, you have a drum track, you slice it according to the drum hits, then you change the volume of each hit to level out the performer's dynamics. I'm sure you've done something like this before. That's what this plugin does in real time. It has all the controls needed so you can tune it in such a way that it will change the volume of each hit with a minimum artifacts typical for compressors. Thus, you can get your drummer's performance to a perfect level provided he played on time, of course. It can also shape the envelope of each hit and the gate, which is especially handy. Feel free to apply compression after MDrum Leveler to get that snappy sound. MDrum Leveler will just nicely prepare the performance for the compressor. As we all like big drums, here is MDrum Enhancer. It listens to the performance and, in a way, adds what is missing to the drum sound. It's like drum replacing, which is in real time and cannot go wrong because it isn't based on detecting hits. So if you want to add an extra bass to a kick drum or noise component to a snare, this is the right tool to use. Note, you cannot do that by an equalizer or any other traditional tool for that matter. The plugin actually adds an extra content that didn't exist before in real time. And the last plugin for this video is Emphatic. Unlike a typical compressor, this one actually restores the signal's dynamics that might get lost when applying effects. Here's how it works. First, you get a tone you want by putting a signal through a vintage amplifier, compressor, and convolution processor. Obviously, the original dynamics will be lost after that. Second, you bring the original dynamics back. Imagine a distorted vocal effect that doesn't sound flat. Pretty cool, isn't it? Emphatic can even restore the original dynamics lost after third-party plugins. That's all for now. As you can see, you've got plenty to choose from. Now it all comes down to what you want. See you next time.